Chosen one, God whispered something over your life in this season that very few people are permitted to hear. He said your departure is near, not the departure you may be thinking of. The departure from everything that has held you back, kept you small, and delayed what was always meant to be yours. If you close this video right now, you will miss the most important word that was sent to find you today. Stay with me. I am speaking to you right now with a weight in these words that is different from ordinary encouragement. Because what I am releasing today is not a general message for a general audience. It is a specific word for a specific kind of person. The kind of person who has been in one place for so long that they began to wonder whether movement was still possible for them. The kind of person who has felt the pull of something greater without being able to name what it was or when it would come. The kind of person whose spirit has known, quietly and persistently, that the current chapter is not the final one. That something is shifting. That something is ending. That what comes next is going to be different from everything that came before. If that is you, then this message was sent for you. And the word I am bringing is this: your departure is near. I want to be clear about what I mean when I say departure, because the word can carry different meanings depending on where you are sitting when you hear it. For some of you, it will land as relief. For some, it will land as confirmation of something you have already been sensing. For some, it will land with a mix of anticipation and grief, because departures always carry both. The grief of leaving what was familiar, and the anticipation of arriving somewhere you were always meant to be. Your departure is near, and it is one of the most significant movements I have orchestrated in your life. Type Amen if your spirit already knows that a major departure is coming in your life. Let me tell you what you are departing from, because not all of it is painful. Some of what you are leaving was comfortable. Some of it was familiar in the way that worn things become familiar even when they no longer serve you well. Some of it involved people you cared about, places that held memories, versions of yourself that you have inhabited for so long that letting them go will require a kind of grief that you were not fully prepared for. You are departing from the version of yourself that was shaped by limitation, the version that learned to make itself smaller to fit into spaces that were never the right size, the version that apologized for its gifts because the people around it were not ready to celebrate them, the version that kept its dreams at a manageable size so that if they did not work out, the disappointment would also be manageable. That version of you served a purpose. It protected you during seasons when full expression would have been premature, but it has served its purpose, and now I am calling it to end. You are also departing from relationships and environments that cannot carry you into your next season, not because these people are bad, not because these environments were without value, but because what I have designed for your next chapter requires a different kind of surrounding, requires people who are moving in the same direction, requires environments that can hold the size of what you are becoming. And what you are currently surrounded by was built for a version of you that is already being left behind. I know that some of those departures will hurt. I know that leaving familiar faces and familiar places carries a weight that cannot be minimized. But I also know what is waiting on the other side of the departure. And I am asking you to trust that what is coming is worth what is being left. Because it is. It is more than worth it. It is everything you have been believing for in your quietest and most honest moments. Type 111 to declare that you are ready to depart from everything that no longer belongs in your next season. There is something I want to say about why I whispered this and did not shout it. Because when I whisper something to a chosen one, it is an intimate act. It is not distance. It is closeness. A whisper requires proximity. It requires that I am near enough to your ear for the sound to reach you. And the fact that I whispered your departure is near means that in this season I am closer to you than you may have realized. I am not speaking from a distance about your life. I am leaning in. I am near. And what I am saying is meant for you specifically in this specific moment of your journey. The whisper also tells you something about the nature of this message. It is not for everyone to hear, not because some people are less worthy, but because not everyone is at the place in their journey where this word is relevant. This word is for the ones who are at the threshold, the ones who are standing at the edge of a departure that has been building for longer than they recognized, the ones whose season of staying is ending and whose season of going is beginning. And the whisper is me confirming to them that what they have been sensing is real. that the shift they have been feeling is not their imagination, that the restlessness, the dissatisfaction, the growing sense that they do not fully belong in the current chapter anymore, all of it is confirmation that I have been preparing them for exactly this. Your departure is near, and I whispered it because I wanted you to know that I am close, that I am in this with you, that you are not departing alone into something unknown. You are departing with me leading every step. Type 777 to affirm that you hear the whisper of God and you are ready to move when He says move. I want to speak now about the fear that comes with departures, because even when a departure is good, even when everything inside you knows that what is ahead is greater than what is behind, there is still a moment of fear at the threshold. A moment when the familiar pulls at you with a force that surprises you by its strength. A moment when the unknown feels vast and the known feels suddenly precious in a way it did not before. That fear is not a sign that you are making the wrong move. It is a sign that the move is real, that you are not departing from something trivial, that what you are leaving had genuine weight and what you are stepping into requires genuine courage. I am not asking you to pretend the fear is not there. I am asking you to move in spite of it, because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that what is ahead is more important than what the fear is saying. And what is ahead of you is more important. It is the life I designed. It is the purpose I placed inside you before you were born. It is the fullness of what I have been building toward through every season of your journey. And it is worth the fear. It is worth the discomfort of departure. It is worth the grief of leaving what was familiar. You were not made to stay in one place forever. You were made for forward movement. You were made for growth that continues through every season of your life. And the departure that is near is the next great movement forward in a journey that was always designed to keep moving. Do not let fear anchor you in a chapter that has already served its purpose. I am calling you forward, and my call is stronger than the fear. Type 333 to declare that you will not let fear stop the departure God has ordained for your life. I want to speak to the people you are departing from, because some of the hardest parts of any departure are the relationships that cannot make the journey with you. And I know that some of you are carrying grief already about the connections you can feel loosening. The friendships that have begun to feel like they belong to a previous version of you. The relationships that were built on a foundation that the new season will not support. The connections that served you well in one chapter, but that cannot hold what you are becoming in the next. I want to honor the grief of those departures. I am not dismissing how real it is to move away from people who were once central to your life. The loneliness of that transition is genuine. The missing that comes in the early days of a new chapter is real, and I want you to know that I see it. I am not asking you to be unmoved by what you are leaving. I am asking you to trust that what I am bringing is worth the grief of the leaving. And I also want to tell you something about the people who are coming, because departures from old connections are always accompanied by arrivals of new ones. The people who are moving into your next chapter are being prepared right now. They are being shaped by their own seasons of growth and transition. They are becoming the people who can walk alongside the version of you that is emerging. And when you meet them, there will be a recognition, a sense of finding something that was meant to be found. A connection that fits the new season in a way that the old ones could not. You are not moving into a life of isolation. You are moving into a life of right connection. And right connection is worth the departure from connection that was not. Type 222 to affirm that you trust God with the relationships of your next season. There is something else your departure is near from, and this one may be the most significant of all. You are departing from the story that was written about you by voices that did not have authority over your life. The story that said you were not enough. The story that said your dreams were too large for someone like you. The story that said your past had permanently determined your future. The story that cataloged your failures and used them as evidence against your potential. You have been living too close to that story for too long, and your departure from it is near. I am not the author of that story. That story was written by fear, by wounds, by the limitations of people who could not see past their own ceilings. And because you spent time in their presence, because you were formed in part by their voices, some of those words found their way into the inner narrative that you carry about yourself. And they have been costing you. Every time you pulled back from something you were made for because of a word that was never true. Every time you minimized yourself to avoid the risk of confirming what the story said about you. Every time you let the old narrative win a quiet battle in the privacy of your own mind. That story is ending. The departure from it is near. And what I am writing in its place is the true story, the one I have always been writing, the one that sees what I see when I look at you. And what I see is not what that old story described. What I see is a chosen one standing at the edge of their greatest season. Ready, prepared, more capable than they know, and about to step into a departure that will redefine everything that came before it. Type 444 if you are ready to depart from every false story that was written about your life by voices that did not carry my authority. Your departure is also near from financial limitation that has defined more of your life than it was supposed to. The season of barely enough is coming to a close. The season of stress about provision is being replaced by a season of overflow that will surprise even you with how complete it is. I am not bringing you into a place of slightly more comfortable struggle. I am bringing you into a place of genuine provision that matches the purpose I have assigned to your life. And that level of provision requires a departure from the place where you have been. You cannot receive what is coming while staying where you are, not because the physical location is always the issue, but because the spiritual positioning has to shift. The mindset of lack has to depart before the reality of provision can fully land. And I have been working on that mindset in this season, replacing fear with faith at the level of your deepest beliefs, building a capacity to receive that is larger than what you have operated in before, preparing you to hold what is coming without losing it or being overwhelmed by it. The financial departure is real, and it is near. And what follows, it will be evidence that I am faithful in every area of the lives of my chosen ones. Type 555 to receive the financial departure from lack and step into the provision God has prepared. You stayed, and I want to tell you that staying through the first part was its own act of departure. A departure from the voice that said this was not for you. A departure from the distraction that tried to pull you away before the message was complete. A departure from the habit of consuming without fully receiving. You stayed. And what is in this second part is for the ones who stay. I want to go deeper now. I want to speak to the specific nature of what is waiting on the other side of your departure. Because I know that departures are easier when you have a sense of what you are departing toward. And I want to give you that sense. Not in a way that removes the faith component, because some things can only be fully revealed in the arrival, but in a way that gives your spirit enough to hold on to as it takes the steps that cross the threshold. What is waiting for you on the other side of this departure is a version of your life that currently exists only in the place where your deepest hopes and your faith intersect. It is the life you have prayed about in your most honest moments, not the edited version you presented when you were afraid to ask for too much. The real version. The one where the gifts I placed inside you find their full expression. The one where the purpose I designed you for is no longer obscured by everything that was layered over it. The one where the people around you are the right people, where the opportunities are the right opportunities, where the sense of being exactly where you belong is no longer a distant hope, but a daily reality. That life is real. It is not a fantasy. It is not wishful thinking dressed up in spiritual language. It is what I have been building toward through every season of your journey, and it is on the other side of the departure that is near. Type 666 to declare that you believe the life God has prepared is real, and it is waiting on the other side of your departure. I want to speak now about the timing of this departure, because timing is something that my chosen ones often wrestle with. You have been waiting for so long that the departure beginning to feel near can itself be hard to trust. You have been disappointed by what felt like nearness before. You have leaned forward in expectation and then had to steady yourself when the movement did not come as soon as you expected. And those experiences have taught you a kind of protective caution about believing that the near is actually near. I understand that caution. It was born from real experience, but I want to speak to it directly today, because what I am declaring over your life right now is not the same as what you felt before. What you felt before were previews. Preparation seasons where the sense of nearness was real, but the full manifestation was not yet ready. Not because I was withholding arbitrarily, but because you were not yet fully prepared. because what was waiting on the other side required more of you than had yet been built. And so the timing was extended, and the preparation continued, and each season added something that the departure required. But now the preparation has reached a completeness that the previous seasons did not have. What has been built inside you through everything you have walked through is now sufficient. The courage is in place. The faith has been tested and held. The healing has reached the places that needed to be healed before the new chapter could fully begin. And the timing that I am releasing is not a preview. It is the arrival of the moment I have been preparing since before you understood what was being prepared. Your departure is near, and this time near means near. Type 777 to receive the declaration that the timing of your departure is now and not a preview. I also want to speak to the physical signs that your departure is already beginning, because many of you have been experiencing things in your natural life that feel like endings or disruptions without fully understanding that they are preparation for the departure. Things that were stable have become unstable. Situations that felt settled have begun to feel uncertain. Connections that seemed permanent have begun to show cracks. And instead of seeing these things as disaster, you need to begin seeing them as sign. When I am preparing a departure, I often begin by loosening what was holding a person in place, because you cannot step away from something while you are still fully anchored to it, and so the loosening is necessary. The discomfort of things becoming uncertain is the feeling of the anchor being lifted. It is not punishment. It is preparation. It is me clearing the conditions that would make the departure difficult. And everything that has begun to feel unstable in your current chapter is part of that clearing. Do not fight the loosening. Do not exhaust yourself trying to restabilize what I am freeing you from. Instead, recognize it for what it is. It is the beginning of your departure becoming visible in the natural world. What started in the spirit realm is now touching the circumstances of your daily life. And what that means is that the distance between the whisper and the reality is closing. Your departure is not only near in time, it is near in the sense that it has already begun to manifest. Type 888 to declare that you recognize the signs of departure in your life, and you are not fighting the loosening. I want to address the chosen ones who have tried to depart before and found themselves pulled back, who made attempts at leaving what did not serve them only to find that the gravitational pull of the familiar was stronger than their resolve in that moment, who have history with this particular struggle, and who carry a quiet fear that this departure will end the same way as the previous attempts. I want to speak to you directly. The previous attempts were not failures. They were practice. They were the early movements of something that was building toward this moment. Every time you tried and came back, you learned something. You learned where the pull was strongest. You learned which voices were hardest to ignore. You learned which parts of the departure required more strength than you had at that time. And that learning was not wasted. It has been building into the version of you that now stands at this threshold, the version that has enough. Enough strength, enough clarity, enough faith, enough of everything the departure requires. This departure is not like the previous attempts, because you are not the same person who made those attempts. You have been changed by the seasons between then and now, changed in ways that have prepared you specifically for this moment. The departure that eluded you before is not going to elude you again, because I am not only calling you to go, I am going before you. I am clearing the path. I am removing the obstacles that turned you back before. And I am strengthening your resolve from the inside in a way that no external pull will be able to undo. This is the departure that lasts. This is the one that takes you all the way to the other side, and it is near. Type 999 to declare that this departure is different from every previous attempt, and this time you will not be pulled back. There is one more thing I want to say about your departure, and it is perhaps the most important thing of all. Your departure is not only for you. It is for the people who are waiting on the other side of it. There are people whose lives will change because of where you are going and what you will do when you arrive. There are people who need what you carry. People whose breakthrough is connected to your obedience in this departure. People who are praying for something that only you, specifically you, walking in your purpose, can provide. This is why the enemy has fought your departure so hard. Not because he fears what you will receive when you go, but because he fears what others will receive because you went. Your departure carries within it a ripple effect that extends far beyond your own life. And the longer you stay in the chapter that is ending, the longer those people wait for what only your arrival can bring. You are not just doing this for yourself. You are doing it for everyone your next chapter is meant to touch. Every person your gift is meant to reach. Every life your purpose is meant to change. And when you step into your departure, when you cross the threshold from where you have been to where you are going, something much larger than your personal breakthrough is set in motion. Depart for yourself, but also depart for them. For the ones waiting on the other side who do not yet know your name, but whose lives are about to be changed by your arrival. Type 1111 to declare that your departure is not only for you, but for everyone who is waiting for what God will do through you in your next season. As this message closes, I want to leave you with the whisper one more time, because I want you to carry it, not as a concept, not as something you heard in a video and filed away, but as a living word that you take with you into the hours and days ahead. A word that you return to when the departure feels difficult. A word that steadies you when the familiar pulls at you. A word that keeps you moving forward when everything in you wants to stop and look back. God whispered. He leaned in close. He put his words near enough for only you to hear. And what he said was this: your departure is near. Not as a threat, not as something to fear, as a promise, as a declaration of what he has already decided and is already moving to bring to pass. As a word from the one who sees your whole story and knows exactly where this departure takes you. As confirmation from the one who has been with you through every season and who is now saying that the current one is ending and the next one is beginning, and it is going to be worth every hard thing this journey required. You are at the threshold. The departure is near. And on the other side of it is the life that was always written for you, the purpose that was always yours, the fullness that no previous season could contain because it was too large for where you were. Step toward it. Let the departure begin. And know that the one who whispered it is walking with you every step of the way. Your departure is near, chosen one, and your arrival is going to change everything. Type yes and amen to receive everything God is releasing through this word today. Share this message with a chosen one who needs to know that their departure season is near, and that God is already on the other side waiting.